BJP MP Kangana Ranaut has stirred a controversy by suggesting that the farmers' protest could have led to a Bangladesh-like situation if strong measures were not taken by the government. The Mandi MP also blamed vested interests and foreign powers for the continuation of the protests even after the laws were rolled back. Both BJP and Congress have condemned these statements that were made by her. And of course, Kangana has taken on the farmers' protests once again. Joining us at this point, Savio Rodriguez, leader of the BJP. We also have Piyush Pant, political analyst, live with us. Rajalakshmi Joshi, political analyst, is joining us live. Kevin Matthew Sunny, political analyst, is also live on the broadcast.
The evidences are for all to see. So Kangana is not wrong in her assumptions. But what she is wrong is that these are views for people who are authorized to speak about it and not Kangana. And that is why the party has looked at it in that light.
Rajalakshmi Joshi, come in here. Do you believe Kangana Ranaut was out of line making this statement on the farmers' protests once again? She has spoken on the issue earlier too. Or do you believe that the wider argument raised by her is correct?
Very firstly, a very Shubh Janmashtami to all your viewers, Uday, and to you also. Coming to this question on hand, just let me tell you, let me address this in two parts. Okay, now there are certain issues that Kangana Ranaut spoke about. And yes, she is definitely somebody who speaks offhand a lot of times. And now, right now, what she is doing is she is promoting her film. So, there were a lot of things that she spoke about, and amongst them, she spoke about the Bangladesh riots that are happening, the violence that is happening, the way in which the government was overthrown, and drew parallels to the farm protest. Now, is she wrong in saying that there were similar attempts in our country as well? No, because there was definitely a lot of incidents where, see, if you look at the farm protest, especially, you remember what happened on the 26th of January, and the kind of scenes that we saw, that was definitely something very concerning. So that there was definitely an attempt by one section of people. So out of this entire population of our country, if say maybe 50,000 or 1 lakh people converge at the borders and at the borders of the state, and then they come into Delhi and they try to hijack the entire place, I think that is definitely something concerning. So that is not the way in which governments are run. That is not the way in which a country is run. So she is right in pointing out that something similar was being tried in our country as well. And she also spoke about, what actually was appalling to a lot of people was that she spoke about how there were corpses hanging and that, there were rapes happening. Now, let me tell you that there were a huge number of losses. The Confederation of All India Traders, they have actually estimated that there were, just between the first 3 months, it was a loss of 60,000 crores. There were definitely some rapes happening. There were some murders. But then the way in which, now coming to the second part of what I wanted to say is, Uday, in some things about what she has raised, the concerns were right. But let me tell you that the way in which she has put it across, it kind of indicates as if, all the farmers who were protesting, or all farmers in general, were indulging in rapes and murders, and it shows them in really bad light. So this is a very sensitive situation. This is a very sensitive matter, and definitely the BJP would not like somebody to speak offhand on it. See, there is a way in which all political parties handle their communication. They, somebody cannot just go offhand and speak about something on national media and, express their views. Now, for example, I am speaking in my personal opinion. So whatever I am saying is definitely probably not the political party's line. So now when the BJP spokesperson comes and speaks about it, they know exactly what are the points that they should be talking about, and especially about the farm laws and the policies, what went right, what went wrong, and why it was taken back, etc. So they are very right in saying that Ms. Kangana Ranaut is not authorized and she is not permitted to speak on these issues as well. So, these matters should have been, maybe if she did feel concerned about it, she could have maybe elaborated a little more, the way in which Savio has put across, the way in which I was telling you that there were some concerning incidents. But the way in which he put it, it kind of put questions on the farmers. So when you speak about farmers, in general, you're not talking about the separatist elements, you're not talking about the Khalistani elements who were actually some vested interests, who had a role in instigating some of the farmers there. I'm saying some of them. So they have actually created all the big trouble. Now there was definitely some concerns which are being looked into, but then what happened is there were some very sensitive issues which were definitely blown out of proportion, whether it was during the CA rights, whether it was during the farm laws protests, and whether it was during the hijab issue. So all these sensitive issues, they should not be taken up in a very light manner and spoken about, while promoting a movie with it. So there definitely has to be a line drawn between what has to be spoken on a political forum and what should be spoken about on a promotional podcast maybe. So this, I think, is something that the BJP has distanced themselves from and said that we do not agree with everything that she has spoken about. So, I think that she definitely should refrain from speaking about some complicated issues in the future. And though she is not completely wrong, but she was wrong in actually speaking about things out of line. So that, I think, is something that is the issue here, Uday.
Now the BJP has disowned her statement. So it clearly shows that the BJP or the BJP government at the center did not and does not agree with the allegations, whether it was of the US forces, some foreign forces, or of that they were murderers and they were rapists, all these things. Never, the government had made, or the BJP quarters had made allegations of Khalistani, calling them Naxalites and Khalistani, all sorts of things.
Whatever she says in an interview as a member of parliament becomes a reflection of what the party stand is. And the party stand, let me tell you, is that the protest was about the farmers. And yes, the farmer protest was hijacked by certain elements.
Let me get in Rajalakshmi Joshi. Rajalakshmi Joshi, Xavier Rodriguez maintains that the farmers' protest was hijacked. Piyush Pant says it was a legitimate protest. Don't color it otherwise. Rajalakshmi Joshi.
Uday, like I said earlier, I definitely agree that there were certain concerns that were raised by certain farmers. But it was not as if, the entire, the kind of violence that we could see that went on to the Red Fort, that was definitely not the farmers. So that was definitely hijacked by Khalistanis. If Mr. Pant and if Mr. Kevin are actually saying that that was the farmers, then I think that they are definitely completely misinformed, or they're pretending to be. So, they have this kind of
the violence was not just the farmers. The violence. Let me tell you. Let me tell you. Let me tell you. Ma'am, let me tell you.
Let me tell you. All over social media by Khalistani elements. They were posting all kinds of objectionable stuff.
Ma'am, I agree with you. I agree with you.
And these people are saying that that was not the case. So it was as if the entire farmers were not hijacking the entire thing, but it was there were a section who were definitely violent.
I agree with you. I agree with you. I agree with you, Khalistanis.
Entire protest into a wrong direction.
Yes.
And that is what was the concerning part. And they were trying to overthrow the government. There was nothing about regime change. There was this thing about regime change. If Mr. Pant and Mr. Kevin want to close their eyes to the reality, it is
let us bring things to reality.
So they are also vested interests. They want the regime change, and that is why they want to close their eyes to the reality.
Let us bring reality into
Mr.
perspective.
Narendra Modi is a democratically elected Prime Minister. He is not somebody who has been completely thrown into the picture.
MP's children's right trucks to normal protest.
He cannot be just overthrown by 50,000 people coming into Delhi border.
Why did government allow those elements to remain there over there?
Shine Bagh, you have certain ladies that had come out, some genuine, some not, and then you had them put children forward. Do you want the government, and in this case the farmer protest that you're referring to, do you want the government who at that point of time would not be able to, in a mob, decide who is genuine and who is not genuine, take out an attack? What do you think?
The day, of course, the farmers are continuing their demand for an MSP. Are we, every time they raise their demand, going to color them in a certain way, or do you believe legitimate demands should be taken at face value and considered, and not all farmers' causes should be sullied in the manner that it has been?
Are you asking me the question?
Rajalakshmi Joshi.
Okay.
Yes, definitely, Uday. There has to be a mature discussion with all the stakeholders. This discussion will be with the genuine farmers. So that is the reason why this, even though, like Savya was saying, the farm laws were I would say to at least a major extent, they were definitely beneficial to the farmers. It was a revolutionary act, actually, if you look at it. So in spite of that, they rolled it back because just because the BJP was not able to communicate effectively what were the advantages of all these farm laws. So probably they thought that it is better to have a proper discussion. So that, I think, is the need of the day. Now the Congress is taking a very high moral stand and saying that we are going to provide MSP to all the farmers. Now these were the very people who actually rejected the idea of the MSP to the farmers when the issue had come up in 2011. So the very MSP that they had rejected at that time, today they are raising it as an issue and they are making it an agenda. So that is something that you have to look into what is financially viable, what is economical for the entire country, what will be beneficial to the farmers. So all of these factors have to be looked into very maturely, Uday, and that is exactly what the BJP and what the government is doing. So I think that the government is taking its time, but definitely at the end of the day, they will come out with something nice and concrete. So I think that this is not something that you should be these are sensitive matters, like I told you. So when you talk about farmers, people get very sensitive because they call them annadatas. So you cannot take up all these issues on a very light
right.
note and paint them in a very bad light, just like that.
Okay.